first line. You see it? Rabbun Barchia. Rabbun Barchia boy kumi Rabbi Law. Rabbun Barchia asked for Rabbi Law. Lama li Demai. Why it's to tell you about our case Demai. Now the case which we're talking about is our Mishnah, which says that when you go up to Yerushalmi and you take the Meiser Sheni up to Yerushalmi, you're allowed to lose some of it along the way. Okay, if you're taking actual food as opposed to coins up to Yerushalmi, if you lose some along the way, it's not nishke ferlach. It's not considered to be a major problem. So Rabbi Boom Barchia asked Rabbi Law, why does this pertain specifically to the Mai? Afilu Vadai. Even if it's Vadai, the same halach should be applied. Lama li mute. Besides that, why only if is it okay to lose a little bit? Lama afilu rov. Why not catch loose? What the heck? Lose most of it, right? V'lo kein tani. Didn't we learn that in a brisa, ein mevin truma min hagoren la'ir. Now, there's a look like this. A kohen really has to come to the Beis Hagronos, to the silo, to your silo to get his truma. You're not responsible to bring the truma to the city, because you'd be expending the money to do that. Why should you have the expenditures on his truma? So that's what it says here. You can't bring truma from the goren, you don't have to bring truma from the goren to the city. Nor from a desert field, which you have, obviously an isolated field, to a community. Unless it was in a place where it's going to be destroyed or lost as a result of it staying there. In that case, go ra'atah. You drag it, you bring it, and in that case we require you to bring it and bring to and give money to the and you can take money from the Kohanim, for the collective of Kohanim, to pay for your expenditures and bring it up to the city. So what we see here, Lichora, let's make a parallel to Meiser Sheni and say that Meiser Sheni also, even in Vadai, why should we require you to schlep it up to Yerushalmi and safeguard along the way? What do we care if you lose some of it along the way? Why is it specific halacha by Demai that only by Demai you're allowed to lose a little bit along the way? Just like by Truma, we see it's not yours, so we can't be mechayiv you expenditures. If you do spend money, you can even charge the Kohanim for it. So to Meiser Sheni, it's not really yours, right? It's true, you have to eat in Yerushalmi, but it's not really yours. So therefore, what do we care if you lose some along the way? Why is it so terrible? Why does it say that Ma'abdin is miuto, you can lose some along the way only when it's Demai, not when it's Vadai?
The analogy is not the same, though. First of all, because Meiser Sheni you could always convert into cash and bring that into Yerushalmi. The Truma you can't convert to cash.
What? The Truma you can't convert to cash, and therefore what? Are you mechuyev to convert Meiser Sheni to cash?
No, but it's easier for you. It's
true, it's easier, but so what? Maybe that instead of making you convert it to cash, you can bring it up to Yerushalmi. So what do we get? Since you have the option to bring it up to Yerushalmi, why do you have to put a special shmira on it when you go up to Yerushalmi? That's the question. Okay? Yes. The Mai. Oh, you weren't here for Monday? No. Oh, good morning. Demai is when neither were you. That's true, right? Both of you missed the first lot, right? No, Demai is when you have grain or any other crop which you get from an amoritz. And in times of Chazal, most Amoratim took off trumas. All Amoratim took off truma. Most Amoratim took off meiser. However, some did not. And therefore, they made a gzera d'Rabbanan that you should take meiser off grain you buy from Namoritz. Meiser meaning meiser rishon or meiser sheni, and from the meiser rishon, of course, you have to give trumas meiser to the kohen. Okay? So since that's the case, there's since it's only the Rabbanan, and the rove is that they did take off meiser, there are a lot of kulas, there are a lot of leniencies about the Demai, which don't apply to regular meiser. And one of them is, we're saying here, so that the meiser sheni of Demai, you don't. If you take it up to Yerushalmi as a commodity, as opposed to redeeming it and take it up to Yerushalmi as coin, that it's okay if you lose a little bit along the way.
Same thing What is Ma'aser Sheni of Demai, not regular Ma'aser
This is
Sheni?
not my right. This is Ma'aser Sheni Demai, and the question is, however, why is this only by Ma'aser Sheni Demai, not by Ma'aser Sheni Avadai? In other words, by Ma'aser Sheni Avadai, we should also have this leniency that you should be allowed to lose some along the way. Okay, that leniency should not just apply to Demai. So the Gemara on that answers, Amar Rabbi Yossi said, Amar Leiv, sorry, the line before. Amar Leiv, ve'eino mitzvah la'ashiv aveda. Is it a mitzvah to be meishiv aveda? In other words, the reason why we make you maintain it is, the reason why we make you maintain it is because of Hashavas aveda. In other words, just like over there by the Truma, the Hashavas aveda is to whom? When I make you schlep it up to the city, if it's going to get lost otherwise, who's the Hashavas aveda to? Kohanim. Truma is the Kohanim. So to hear the Ma'aser Sheni of Demai, he didn't miss any Yerushalmi blot.
That's bad. That's bad news.
Yeah, it's pretty bad news. So to the Ma'aser Sheni.
I'm happy.
So to the Ma'aser Sheni of Demai, when you take it up to Yerushalayim, so the Ma'aser Sheni of Demai, when you take it up to Yerushalayim, you're allowed to lose some along. You have to be Shomer Aveda and try not to lose as much. Try not to lose it. That's what it means. Okay, it's true you're not being Meishav Aveda to a specific person here, because obviously Ma'aser Sheni you eat in Yerushalayim, but it's the same concept of Hashavas Aveda. Okay, in other words, try and maintain it. It's something which is good to maintain. Try and maintain it. So it's not exactly parallel, but there's a similarity. So it says Gemara, Rabbi Yossi mitzvah l'hashiv aveda b'davar muat. It's a mitzvah. Now, I'm going to read this as a statement, not as a question, even though it could be read as a question as well, I guess. But let's read the statement. Rabbi Yossi mitzvah l'hashiv aveda b'davar muat. Here by Demai, they only gave mitzvah l'hashiv aveda by a maybe I do have to read as a question. Yeah. Let me just check here. I'm rusty because I prepared this for Tuesday night and nobody showed up till tonight. Yeah. 1 second. Okay, so this way, he does read his statement. It's continuation. Going back a line. The Rabbi Law is saying it's a mitzvah to be Meishav Aveda, and that mitzvah to be Meishav Aveda. Rabbi Yossi said over there in the case of Truma, mitzvah law hu Lashiv Aveda b'davar muat. It's a mitzvah to be Meishav Aveda when there's a little bit of exertion on your part. Veino mitzvah Lashiv Aveda b'davar merubah. There's no mitzvah to be Meishav Aveda when there's a lot of exertion on your part, when it's a substantial amount. So to here I say, well, let me go on. B'vadai avalo b'dmai. It's talking about that which is a mitzvah to be Meishav Aveda here too as well. By Demai is when it's a Vadai, but not when it's Demai. However, Afilu b'davar muat eino mitzvah lahashiv Aveda. By Demai, I'm not sure exactly how to punctuate this line. It's very choppy. But the bottom line is by Demai, oh yeah, I remember now. He changes the girsa here, I think. He says, or somebody changes the girsa, that by Demai, No, it doesn't change the gears here. Just a second. I want you to know I had this well prepared for Monday and Tuesday night. Now I forgot it. Yeah, this is also okay. Pnei Moshe says also talking about truma. So I mean, as mitzvah lashi aveda b'davar muat, ve'ino mitzvah lashi aveda b'davar merubah. I don't know. Let's say it's like about the whatever. It's all semantics. Let's just read it through. It'll be fine. It's a mitzvah to be meshaveda when you're only going to have a small expenditure. It's not a mitzvah to be meshaveda when it's a big expenditure. By vadai, they made you be very makbid. In other words, you're not allowed to lose any ma'aser sheni because you're causing a loss, right? And you could be meticulous, so they make you be meticulous. Avolo b'dmai, but by dmai they weren't so medactic and being meshva aveda. And by dmai, however, you should know even by dmai afilu b'davar muat eino mitzvah lashiv aveda. By dmai, it's only the afilu here is a little bit strange. It doesn't really mean afilu. It's like it means only. In other words, only by a davar muad, there's no mitzvah lashiv aveda. In other words, if you lose a little bit on the way to Yerushalmi, that's okay, but a lot you're not allowed to lose, even by dmai. The tnina ma'abdinas muta b'drachim. That as it says here, that you're allowed to lose a little bit along the way. So the bottom line is that normally the Hashavas Aveda requires you to make sure, just like there by Truma out in your barn, you have to bring it into the city for the Kohanim. Here the Hashavas Aveda means that whatever Meiser Shei, you should be you should be makbid. You should try and ensure that as much Meiser Sheni as possible reaches Yerushalayim. And therefore by Vadai would make you be so meticulous that everything reaches Yerushalayim. Of course, if you lose something, you lose something. But by Demai, the standard of meticulous care that the Meiser Sheni should reach Yerushalayim is not as great, again, because the Meiser Sheni of Demai is lighter than Meiser Sheni of Vadai. Okay?
I just don't understand the logic, how close it was. We're talking about whether it's a mitzvah for you to be Meshiv Aveda. Yeah,
Meshiv Aveda is not it's just a borrowed term here.
It doesn't really mean, it means losing.
Yeah, it means not to lose. Not to restore, but rather not to lose, okay? So try not to lose it along the way. Rabbi Nechumya, I'm sorry, skip. Ad Kedum Shem B'Yadamos. Until now, I've been speaking about when he's not carrying money. What about if Ahayu B'Yadamos? What about if he had money? He was taking not fruit up to Yerushalayim, but money. Rabbi Nechumya Brei, Rabbi Nechumya Barba, Amar, Abba, Amar, he said, Abba, Hayu Lamos B'Diskia, he had money in his wallet, V'lo Haya Mechalolo, and he wouldn't redeem it. Oh, I forgot what that means too. Yeah, so the what you call it, the Stipler's son here says that he wouldn't, that loya mechalo means that he wouldn't care if he lost the money. Meaning, we had back in our Mishnah, in the previous Mishnah, at the beginning of Halacha Beis, it said if you have money of Meiser Sheni, you can redeem it on other money of Meiser Sheni. Now normally that's not the case, but Meiser Sheni of Vada you can't do that. Once you redeem the fruit with money, you gotta take the money of Yerushalayim and buy fruit with it. But by Meiser Sheni of Demai, they were making. They said you could redeem money on money. So Reb Chia Barba's father lost money, which was in a sack, and was Meiser Sheni of Demai. He didn't redeem it. If he had in fact, however, held that lost monies should be restored, right? So then he should have redeemed it in other money which he had. So by virtue of the fact that he didn't redeem, we see that he held that not only if you lose actual fruit on the way to Yerushalayim, do you not have to restore it, but even if you lose money on the way to Yerushalayim, you don't have to restore it. Okay? The same idea applies to money. I said Rabbi Chia Barba, Rabbi Zera. So that which Rabbi Chia Barba was said, that you don't have to be mechal the money, is like Rabbi Zera. We'll come back to that in a second. With Rabbi Ila, who's Rabbi Ila, is going Rabbi Ami, is going like Rabbi Ami. Now, this is a very difficult line. All the Mefarshim go crazy here because there is no Rabbi Ami here in the Gemara. Rabbi Zer was way back when. Rabbi Zer brought down over here on Beis and Beis, about six or seven lines after the Mishnah. Rabbi Zer said that Omar B'Shem Rabbanan, said Nei Rabbanan, B'dina Yad Chumas Ma'aser Shel Demai, of the Halacha Beis. B'dina Yad Chumas Ma'aser Shel Demai, actually it's in the Vilna shots, it's about 5 lines from the bottom. Do you see it? So Rabbi Zer, Rabbi Zer, Omar B'Shem Rabbanan, B'dina Yad Chumas Ma'aser Shel Demai, Shelo Yafrish Aleh Chomesh. Really shouldn't take off a Chomesh on Chumas Ma'aser of Demai. For Lama Amru Sheyafrish, so why they say they be Mafrish? Because of Gzeira. So now his whole obviously also Ma'aser Sheni of Demai is very, very light, right? It's a very, very I'm not sure if light is the right word, very lenient. We're very lenient with it. So therefore, that which Rabbi Chia Barba said that you don't have to be Mechalel, the Ma'aser Sheni money, if you lose it, that's going like Rabbi Zer said, that we're really very lenient in terms of the Ma'aser Sheni of Demai. Rabbi Ila, who said before that it's important to try and be Meshiv Aveda, in other words, to try and get the Ma'aser Sheni as much as you possibly can up to Yerushalayim, that's going like, says Yerushalmi, like Rabbi Ami. It's going like Rabbi Ami. He brings down here that, what is that referring to? That he says that, who is this actually supposed to be? No, maybe it's Rabbi Ami. Maybe I'm getting confused. Where was Rabbi Ami here? Yeah, it is, but right before Rabbi Zer over there. Sorry, here is Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Ami said back over there on Beis and Beis, a line above Rabbi Zer. Rabbi Ami ein Mishnah zos yotzei sidei trumas ma'aser shel demai. That our Mishnah is not drawing any distinction between trumas ma'aser of demai and ma'aser sheni of Demai and Maikadun Tamar Meir Buram Hocher Rabbanan. It's complicated what Rabbi Ami was saying there exactly. But the bottom line is that Rabbi Ami holds there are no leniencies by Ma'aser Sheni of Demai. It's not more lenient. It happens to be that the author of our Mishnah, whatever issue is being discussed back there, has specific leniency. It's either Rameir or Rabbanan in a machlokus how to define certain things. I really don't want to get into it now because we'll just get bogged down. But he holds there that Rabbi Ami is he holds you have to be pretty stringent with Trumas with Ma'aser Sheni of Demai, the Rabbi Law, who says they're pretty stringent with Ma'aser Sheni of Demai. He's going like the Shita of Rabbi Ami, who said that there's a dichotomy between Rameh and Rabbanan. Okay, let's go further. The top line in Gimel base now in the Vilna Shas. The Beir Rabbi Yanai Amrei. The Beir Rabbi Yanai said, "House of Rabbi Yanai." They said, "Pachos mi ochel muter la'avdo." Less than the amount of the shiur of food, which is kibeta. You're allowed to lose along the way Yerushalayim when it's parus, when the food is chopped up already. Aval b'shalem, but if the food is still whole, it's a loaf of something, or something else, which is, I guess, a whole fruit or something. Akrogeres, you have to be more machmir. You have to keep it, even if it's less than a kibetza, even if it's a grogeres, you have to already maintain it because it's considered to be more significant. Rabbi Yochum Shem Ben Tzadok said, "B'sholem ad b'krogeres." By sholem, as we just learned, it's up to grogeres. You have to safeguard. B'paros afilu kama mutar. However, it's chopped up. Even if it's a great amount, you're allowed to lose. It doesn't make a difference. You don't have to maintain it in safety. Ma pligin. What's the machlokas? Rabbi Mona mar b'do pligin. This is the machlokas. The Beit Rabbi Yanai Amrei, the house of Rabbi Yanai, they said, "Pos miochel mutar labi b'paros." it seems like we're just repeating ourselves, so I'm not sure exactly how the editing worked in this Yerushalmi, but it's the same idea. The Bei Rabbi Yanai Omri, they said, that if it's less than a shiur of a kibeta, which is like a grogeris and a half, I think, because a grogeris is slightly more than a kazayis and the 2 kazaysim in a beta. So it's like a kazayis and a half or something like that. So in that case, even if it's a little bit more than a grogeris, as long as it's less than a beta, mutal labed beparus. You can lose it if it's parus. Ava b'sholim, but if it's whole grogeris, you have to maintain it, even if it's slow or smaller, even if it's a grogeris inside. Rabbi Yochanan ben B'Shem Rishon ben Yotzadok said, ben beparus, whether it's cut up, ben b'sholim, or whether it's whole ad ke grogeris, the shiur is a grogeris. So according to this, when he said afilu kama mutar, we're changing our mind now. We're saying it's not mutar afilu kama, no matter how large. On the contrary, saying that even by parus, the shiur is specifically up to grogeris, not where you can't lose anything larger grogeris. Rabbi Yosha asks, Ma'u lahafish koshu labed. What if you have to take off the Meiser Sheni of Demai? Can you then intentionally lose it afterwards? Right, when it's a small amount. And he doesn't answer the question. Just asks it. Leaves it dangling.
Well, why would you think he could do that intentionally? I mean, up to now we're only dealing with he happens to have lost it.
What?
Up to now, all the questions were if you happen to...
Right. The question is now the next stage. Can you intentionally lose it?
Why do you think he could? What's he accomplishing by losing it?
Well, he's accomplishing he doesn't have to take it up to Yerushalayim. It's a big accomplishment, isn't it?
Well, then, he's losing the fruit or whatever it is.
But anyway, he can't eat it right now. Let's say he's having one apple, which he bought from... Listen to it. You buy one apple from an Amoritz, right? One apple. What's the Meiser Sheni? This much, right? What are you going to do? Take it up to Yerushalayim? What's more convenient? To lose it, right? So that's a shadow where you're allowed to lose it in that case.
Does Demai have to be brought up to Yerushalayim?
Well, a large amount we see clearly it has to, right? The question is a small amount. You do have an out. You can always be poded. The thing is you can't be pro to less than the value of a pruta. Well, I don't know why it's so strange. I think it's a very logical question.
To take something and intentionally lose it and say that, this is not my shiur to Yerushalayim.
Isn't it very Jewish?
No, it's not, but it's not Gemara.
You mean we're making like a Ramos? Well, it's like Mechiros Chometz. It's the same idea. All right. In any event, says more of a nosalam oretz. Normally can't give anything which has any degree of tara, such as Meiser Sheni to Amoritz. But here by Meiser Sheni, you're allowed of Demai. You are allowed to. Nosalam oretz v'yochel connected with Demai, or b'vadai lo, but not by vadai. Why? In most of vadai amoritz, you don't give any vadai to an amoritz because we're afraid that he's not going to eat it properly with the proper tara. Okay, I lokech l'zera. Somebody who takes grain in order to plant it, not in order to eat it. L'behema, it takes in order to feed his animal, not for human consumption. Kemach, he buys flour, but not to eat. Loros, to work hides. V'shemen, he buys oil. L'ner, it's for a candle, not to eat. Shemen lo suchbos hakelim, or in order to anoint his vessels. Pot min admai. You don't have to give the Meiser Sheni of Demai. You don't have to give any Demai Meisers on it because you're not going to eat it. We made this takana, we're actually going to eat it. Mina Ksivu Lahala, north of Ksiv, Potim Mina Demai, you're exempt from Demai as well. Chalas Amoretz, the Chala of an Amoretz, which means he himself took off Chala, V'Ameduma, and if his Chala got mixed up, the challah got mixed up from the with a batch of an Amoritz gave a Kohen challah. That's what it's talking about. An Amoritz gave a Kohen challah, right, as a matnas kuna, because he made a dough and he made challah and he's giving the Kohen challah. Or Hameduma, a Kohen has Amoritz is a batch of food in which truma got mixed in with other food. Because of Meiser Sheni, and or if you have stuff which is bought with leftover money for Meiser Sheni, Shiur HaMenachos, that which is left over from a mincha, and the Pnei Moshe says here that the Kohen is receiving this flour from a mincha bought by an Amoritz, right? The Amoritz brought the mincha, and now the Kohen is getting the shiraim, that which is left after the komets to eat in the Beis Hamikdash. All these things are p'tur min admai. These are strange cases, and they're aberrant cases, and therefore they're p'tur min admai, like milsa lo shchicha, and maybe there's also as far that since it's more kodesh, the Amoritz is more makbi to take off meisers. All these things are exempt from admai. The shemen orev, what if you get fragrant oil? So Beis Shammai chayv and Beis Hillel pocher. Beis Shammai says it's chayv and admai, Beis Hillel paters. The Gemara is going to say it's machlokas in mitzias. It's a machlokas in actually what do you do with shemen orev. To follow the takon of Demai, to take off the meisus misofik, right? Okay, Mikev shlochol zera lo shanyahi says more. Once it's acquired for zera, isn't it obvious that it's different? Says more, no. It's a very chiddush in our Mishnah. Davish shazaro kole. So I don't remember how to punctuate this. He says here. No, it's a statement. Kem shlozer lo shani davish shazar kolehi lo shanya. He davish again. Became shlozer once he took in order to plant it. Lo shani is no distinction. He davish shazar kolehi. He davish ein zar kolehi. In other words, one might make a distinction between onions and wheat seeds. Why? Because wheat, when you put in the ground, the seed rots, and something new grows out of the seed. I might say there's no issue of demai, but by onions, where the zaro is aino color, rather the bulb expands and becomes the onion, right? The zara, the bulb always remains in the ground. So in that case, I might say that there is a problem of demai, even if you're planting it, and therefore you have to account for the demai when you're planting it. So therefore, we say it makes no difference. There's no he, meaning there's no difference at all. Rabbi Yochanan said, "V'tani chen." It's we also said learned this in a brisa. If you took the grain, in order to plant, and they decided to eat them instead, boil machshava. Then in that case, I remember this line is difficult to translate. They come to the chiyuv of boil machshava means they come to the chiyuv through your thought, and now you have to take on the demai. Lochan lachila. However, if you what?
I'm not trying to understand. If they come to the chiyuv of having to give,
having to take off demai.
Having to take off demai because of your machshava.
Now, when you originally bought them, you bought them for zera, to replant.
Right.
When they're bought to plant, they're not chayiv demai.
Right.
Now you change your mind. You're going to eat them. So when you eat them, when you decide to eat them, boy machshava means they come to come through your thought to be chayiv now in demai, because now you intend to eat them. What about vice versa? If you originally took them to bought them to eat, the chashav alei and lezera, and then you thought to plant them instead. Lo akol mimenu. Lo akol mimenu literally means that you have no well, it's like that it says in the Bible, lo kol heimenu, meaning he doesn't have the capacity to do so. Once you made it from designated for food, you can't downgrade it back to zera. So here we see no distinction between davish zarakola and davish ain't zarakola. So the same principle applies whether the seed is rotten, it rots when you plant it to make something else, or whether it just grows out of the bulb, as in davish ain't zarakola.
And presumably his machshava has been somehow told of. His intent has been uttered.
Yeah, it's been uttered. No, I don't know if it has to be uttered. Why do you say it has to be uttered? It can take place in his own mind. This is not saying where edus is required.
In the first case, he bought it for Zera,
Right.
and then how do we know that? I guess his actions speak as to his intent.
Right.
Where do we say that?
His actions.
I don't know if it's necessary to say that here. Since this is a ben olam lamoko, right? A pure ben olam lamoko, there's no ben olam l'chaveru aspect here. Yeah, all this could take place within his mind. When do I see a need verbalization? Either in transactions or anything similar, which requires, some interface with the rest of the world. But here, there's no such interface required. I don't know. Maybe nonetheless it would be necessary, but there's no clear-cut evidence from here either way. Tani, we learned ein zorein tevel. You're not allowed to plant tevel. In other words, you're not allowed to plant grain until you meiser it. You can only plant grain once you meiser it. Aval mechapin tevel. However, you're allowed to cover over tevel with dirt, which the Gemara says, Bnei Moshe says makes no sense, and he says this is the wrong gear. So he brings down the right gears from the Tosefta, which is that ein zorein tevel and ein mechapin tevel. You can't do either of them. You can't plant it, and you can't even cover it with dirt. So that's the extra word ein there. Aval mechapinim aku. But if a guy is planting tevel, it's not also bano. You're allowed to participate and help him out and make money on the deal. Tevel sheshara vizara. If you forgot and you did plant tevel, right? In that case, even though it's forbidden, potter, that tevel is exempt from trumas u'maisros. Shekvar ovad, it no longer is extant. You'll take trumas u'maisros, of course, off the crop which grows, but you're no longer mechuyev to take the trumas u'maisros off the tevel, even though you replanted it shelo kedin improperly. Says the Gemara, b'davar she'ein darko lislakit. That's talking about a case. Specifically about a case where it's something which is not suitable to be to gather it after you planted it. In other words, it rots in the ground. Once it rots in the ground, it's not suitable to recover it. So therefore, there we just say forget it. It's water on the bridge. Whatever grows, you meiser independently. However, it's something which you can still collect. After you planted it, let's say onions, before the bulb sprouted, so in that case, we say, we make you do it. We make you collect it as long as there aren't shoots growing out of the onion. I believe tzomach, but of course, if shoots are growing out of it already, then then it's become like something which cannot be collected again, and therefore, in that case, you just forget about the avera you committed, the impropriety you committed, and go on with your life. Says Rabbi Yochanan, it's an amazing thing. Rabbi Yochanan, even when he used to eat meat, afilu be'er, even an egg, have a misakim, he'll give truma some maisrus. Ever heard something like that before? Neither did I. That's why I learned Yerushalmi. Rabbi Yochanan took trumas and maisrus off eggs and meat. Stunning. He felt obviously Mados Kuna is a laudable thing. It's good for you. It's good for you. Pesach beer built. They'll be serving steaks. You come over. You say, I want my portion. Yeah, for Levi, Meister for Levi. Right? For Coin, it's not worth it. He gets a measly portion. But for Levi, it's very worth it, right?
What about Baal Tosef? There's no problem.
He probably didn't do B'Torah's Chiyuv.
Oh, this was his own personal.
It was voluntary. Amlo Talmidav. His Talmidav said to him, wait, Lo Kain Ilfan Rebbe? Didn't you teach us, Rebbe? Haser Taser Kol Tuvas Aracha. You only have to meiser your grain, not your meat. So says the Gemara, don't think Rabbi Yochanan was crazy. Tu choshesh lemashkin. He was afraid of the gravy in the meat, because what could the gravy be made out of? Natural, right? Plant matter. So therefore, it wasn't really they wanted Meiser the meat. It wasn't a voluntary gesture else the meat. It was voluntary gesture because of the gravy which was inside.
Then what about the eggs?
It was cooked in a sauce. I don't know what it was, but it's cooked in a sauce. So it says here. Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Yirmiyah sent to Rabbi Zera. This is amazing what we're about to learn. Now it's a lot of Agadata, the next few lines, next Amud. Rabbi Yirmiyah Yishach Rabbi Zera. Chadam Misana Tainim, one basket full of figs. They weren't. There was no trumas of mice taken off them. Rabbi Yirmiyah Savar Meima. Rabbi Yirmiyah nonetheless thought to himself, Rabbi Zera Mechol de lo mitakanta. What Rabbi Zera eats stuff which was not yet fixed up. So he must have, if he sent it to me, for sure he fixed it up himself. Rabbi Zera Savar. Rabbi Zera thought, on the contrary. So Rabbi Yirmiyah Mila, his possibly will send me something to lo misakna, which is not fixed up. Bain dain ladain. In the meantime, between this and that, isachilis. The tevel got eaten. Isachilis tevel got eaten. L'machar kami mei. So the next day, Rabbi Yirmiyah went to Rabbi Zera. He got up and went to him. Amalei said, "Ahum santo, that basket, Shishlachli Yismo that you sent me yesterday, misaknahu, was it fixed up?" Amalei Amris. So Rabbi Yirmiyah responded, "I said to myself, Ma, Rabbi Zera mechol mila below misakna. Would Rabbi Zera eat something which is not fixed up?" So therefore,
I figured he would do it. I'd send it to him and he would be Masaki.
Yeah. So Rabbi Yirmiyah said, I figured you would do it right. I figured you would do it. Amar Leis, Rabbi Yirmiyah said back, Of Ona Amriskain. I also said a similar thing. I said, Ma Rabbi Yirmiyah Shalech Mil Lo Masakra. Rabbi Yirmiyah sent me something which wasn't fixed up. So bottom line is that Rabbi Zera ate the tevel. Rabbi Abba Varzvina said b'shem Rabbi Yirmiyah, in name Rabbi Yirmiyah, b'shem Rabbi Zera, name Rabbi Zera, excuse me, that Rabbi Abba Varzvina b'shem Rabbi Zera Omar, in havun kadmoi b'nei malachim. If the older generations were like angels, Adam b'nei Nash, we are human beings. In other words, we weren't saved from the prohibition. We ate Isser in Tarchul and Dav Zayin. Rabbi if the original generations were like people, on the Chamarin we are donkeys. Rabbi Mana, this is very similar to the Bavli. How about you, Shaita Amrin? At that time they said, true, like donkeys are. Few Chamarte, the Pinchas ben Yair, Lord the Mina, but we're not even like the donkey of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Well, the Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, the Chamarte Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, the donkey of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, Kenuv Salisti Belelia, the bandit stole at night, La'avdas Tmura, to a place which was hidden. I'm sorry. That's not Le'avdas Tmura. Threw me off here on the bottom in the Bavli. The last word is Le'avdas, but it's a mistake. It should be Avdas Tmura. They hid it for 3 days. Avdas Tmura Gabon, they hid it by them, plus a yom in 3 days. The low Tama Kluma wouldn't eat anything during those 3 days. B'tzar plus a yom in Ismail Khan. After 3 days, they changed their mind. They decided to give back to its master, Pinchas ben Yair. Why? They said, let us send it back to its master, the low lamus Gabon, that it shouldn't die here. V'teisa Marta in our cave will smell bad. Right? These are Ali Baba's thieves. They lived in a cave. They didn't want donkeys dying there; it would stink up their whole cave. So he sent it home. Afkune, they kicked it out. Ozus v'kamas al taras demora. The donkey went and stood at the opening, the gate of its master. Shurais Menakot started braying. Amar Lon, sorry, Pinchas ben Yair said, Paschin La'ad Alutab, open the door for that poor beast. to eat late plus the yom and lo, the team is come for 3 days, hasn't eaten anything. Paschin lo, they opened the door for it. Valsa, and the donkey came in. Amar lo, and so Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said to them, Yavin le klum lemechal, give it something to eat. Teichel. Lemechal teichel, in order to eat. Yavin kumei, sarin le they put in front of it barley. Lo boys mechel wouldn't eat. Amrulei, so they said to Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, Rebbe, lo boys mechel doesn't want to eat. Amrulon, so he said back to them, Pinchas ben Yair said, Misakni ninen, did you fix them up before you gave it to the animal? In other words, you take off Trumas U'Maiser of Demai? Amrulei lo. So they said, no. No, I'm sorry. Amrulei in, they said yes. Amrulon, so they said, yes, we took off trumas, let's say. Amrulei, so he said to them, I'm skipping. Sorry. Amrulon varamintu demai. What about the meiser of demai? Did you take that off from that grain? Amrulei. So they said to him, to Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, Rebbe, why do we have to do that? Lochin ilfan Rebbe, didn't you teach us, Rebbe? Halokech l'ser, somebody buys the grain for planting. Lebehema, for animals. Lekemach loros, or to be flour for tanning hides. Shemen lenoyer, or oil for a candle. Shemen losukpos akelim, or oil to anoint vessels. Patamid admai. Except for the Demai. So it must be they put in front of it some types of food, some which were Tevel Badai, and that they took the Trumas U'Maiser off of, and some of which are Demai, that they didn't take the Trumas U'Maiser off of. And they felt justified in doing so because it was intended for animal consumption. Alone, so he said to them, what can we do to this terrible animal, or this downtrodden animal? Do machmer al garma sagin. He's very machmer on himself. Now, if you're a nasty person, you could be medayik this from this. It will be the flip side of this. If Pinchas ben Yair's chamor was machmer, what could you say is the opposite statement? It's a joke. People are machmer. Or chamorim, right? That would be the backwards, right? So, but that's what he said here. He said that my donkey is a machmir. He won't eat demai even though he's allowed to do so. Okay, so.
That's what the Gemara Ervin says at the beginning of the Gemara Ervin, and we're about machmir, people machmir all the time.
People take the chumras of both Beishan and Beisil. Yeah, it says that they're the chassid shaita or something like that. I forget what it says. Okay, in any. Two poor people. Afternoon trained the sarin. They left 2 measures of grain, a barley. Gabein Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Zarun. So Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair planted them, the chazdun, and harvested them. Valun, and brought them into his house. Boy, Mesav Sarei, these 2 poor people came back and take their barley. I'm alone. He said to the poor people, I say Gemalaya the Chamraya, bring camels and donkeys. The Savun Sarechon, and only then can you take your barley. In other words, this is one of his great measures of tzidkus. They would plant other people's grain in order to make sure they had an ample return and not just keep them for safekeeping. Right, Pinchas ben Yair, Azal Chadasai went to a certain place. Asul Gabe, they came to him. Amulei, they said, Achbaraya Achli Buran. They said to Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, the mice are eating our crop. Gazar Leim. So Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair did whatever Kabbalistic hocus pocus he did. He commanded the mice and tzamtu. He gathered them together. Shor mitzaftzafid. They started whistling. The mice started whistling. Amar alone, so he said to people, Yoduna tu ma'inu namrin, you know what the mice are saying? Amrulei lo, they said, we don't know what the mice are saying. Amar alone, he said to them, Amru, they said to me, the lo misakna, that the food which you're setting out, the food which you guys want to eat, which they're stealing, is stuff which you're not taking Trumas Umaisis from. He said to them, Urvan, they said to him, fix our crop for us. Varvun, he fixed their crop for them. Lo anchon, and the mice no longer cause them any losses. So the moral story is mice come if your food is not properly tight. Okay? Similarly,
That's only Eretz Yisrael, of course.
only in Eretz Yisrael, right? Miragli mean Malka, what is this? What?
Messengers?
Yeah, I think it is messengers. Just want to check that it's not actually spies. No, it's neither. It's a pearl. Margale means a pearl, a margalit. So he says Margale mean the Malka Sarkia, a pearl from the king Syracuse, whatever his name was. Nofla, it fell. Uvalas Charachmer is swallowed by certain mice. Also, guy Pinchas ben Yor. And so they came to Pinchas ben Yor to get it out. Amarli Sabizia said, Man, a chaver, what am I? Somebody who speaks to animals, a chavar, somebody who speaks to animals and gathers together. Amarli, so he said, L'shimcha tava asis. We came because you have a good name. Asa gazar leim etzamtun. So here too he decreed that they shall come together. Chama chad megaba. He saw one mouse which was larger. Literally, it was a hill. So it was larger than the other mice. The Gavas was coming slowly, I guess, because it was so full. Amar, he said, Kabiahu Heini. He said, by this mouse, that's where you find the pearl. Because there are love, the Pinchas ben Yor decreed that the mouse had to give back the pearl, polta, and it regurgitated the pearl. Pinchas also l'chadasar. He went to a certain place. Asin l'gabe. They came to him. Amrulei, so they said to him, Leis mabuan safik misapik lord. Our waters, our wells are not sufficient for us. Amrulon, so he said to them, Dilma lo atun mitaknon. Maybe you're not taking off enough trumas umaisris. Amrulei, so they said to him, Urvan, fix it up for us. Varvun pilzer, fix it up for them. Umisapik lord, and was then from there on in, it was good for them. They had enough water. Right, Pinchas ben Yor have a Ozil base vad. He was going to the base medrash. Have a Ginoi Govir. So Ginai, which was a river in the way, was very high. Which was the same mice appears in the Bavli, but it was significantly different. Amar Lei, so he said to the river, Ginoi, Mat Manalim in base vada, how can you keep for the base medrash? In the Bavli it says it's going to be Polish wheat. So Upoli Kamei, at that point the river split in front of him, Vavar, and he passed the river. Amalei Talmidov, so his Talmid said to him again, it's different than the Bavli. Talmid said, Yochin Anu Avrin, can we pass over like you did in that miraculous way? Amar Lo, he said to them, Ma di Yoda ben Avshei, the lo Akila bar Nashmi Yisrael. I mean, anybody who knows in his heart that he did not make light of a Jewish person, min yoime, ever in his life, yavor, he can try to pass over, below menakeh, not suffer any loss as a result. Okay. Rebbe's boy Mishrei Shmitza. Rebbe wanted to make Shemitah mutter, in other words, that people could plant and harvest during Shemitah. Because Yalb Zman is there, in fact, where he passed, it's only the Rabbanah. So Shemitah is only the Rabbanah, so therefore you can cancel it. What's the big deal? So want to cancel Shemitah. Solak l'gabei, Solak Pinchas ben Yor l'gabei. Pinchas ben Yor came up to Rebbe. Amar Lei, so Rebbe said to him, Ma ibura of din. What's going on with the crops? So he wanted to allude to the fact that the crop is so poor he wants to make an early harvest. He wants to cancel Shemitah. Sorry. So it says the Gemara, which is in allowing those crops to be harvested. So what did Rabbi Pinchas ben Yor answer? He said, Amalei Oshin Yofos. There's some good vegetables. In other words, he was getting out of answering Rebbe positively. He didn't want to agree with Rebbe's premise that there's sufficient financial loss to warrant canceling Shemitah. Yeah, it does. It's a type of vegetable. And so he said to him, my Buravdin. So then he tried to get Rabbi Pinchas Be'er to agree to a different matter by phrasing the question differently. He asked him what's doing in the, with the grain. You know, what's the story out in the field? So it says here, lost my place.
That's the way we said. Well, maybe
Amalei Ocean Yafos. So he said again that Ocean are doing well. No, but he didn't want to answer the question directly. Anyway, to make a long story short, the Gemara says that what happened was the other Rabbi Delasi Mehu Masker Meimei. Rabbi knew already that this fellow, the Rabbi Pinchas Be'er, is not going to agree to eat by him. So he's not going to agree to be Matir Shemitah with him. So Rebbe said to him, Mishka, is it agreeable, Rebbe, to my master, to eat with me a little bit, Batalia Modain, in the afternoon of today when the sun is going down? So he said, yes, it's agreeable to me. Midnochis, when he was going down, right, Pinchas ben Yair, to eat by Rebbe, Chama Muvasa the Rebbe Kayom, he saw the mules of Rebbe standing. Amr said, Kol Ilain Yudoi, all the Jewish men in Rebbe's household, Zonin, are feeding this animal. These animals, the mules, they're dangerous, because what happens if a mule kicks you? It can never heal the wound. So therefore, he doesn't want the mules there. The mules there. Or the mules, as we'll see in a minute. Efshat lo chamei. Savar apui. Maybe I won't allow Rabbi Yehuda Anasi to see, chamei is to see, Savar apui, my countenance, my savor upon him yafos. Min kedon azlin. Then some people went from there. V'amar l'Rebbe Torei, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said, Shalach Rebbe, so Rebbe said the message, boy mefaiste. He wanted to appease Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Matun bei gabe Matu bei gabe kati. So they reached Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. The obviously is a big tzaddik, had a kvitza saderech. They only reached him in his own city, right? He already gotten home already by the time they got to him. Omar b'nei karti korbanli. So Pinchas ben Yair said that his people of the city should make a security cordon around him, so that the people from Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's household can't get him to come eat lunch by them, right? It says again, Omar, he said, "B'nei karti korbanli, the people of my city surround me, so they can't take me." V'nochtu b'nei karti v'ikfunu lavi, and the people of the city came and surrounded him to avoid eating in Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's house, because he has those donkeys. Right. Omar, so he said, Omar alone, he said, Rabbi Moy Mefaistine. I'm sorry, I went back a line. No, I would not. I went back a line. They went back and they told Rebbe that he won't come, right? So says the Gemara. Oh, you're right. I didn't skip a line before. Just a minute. So let me go back a line. Rebbe sent messengers to try to appease him. They found him in his own city. Amar b'nei karti korbanli said, the people of my city come surround me. V'nochtu b'nei karti and they came and made a security cordon around him. Amar alone. So they said, Rebbe boy mifaistine. Rebbe wants to make peace with you. So Shavkunei was alone. So Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, so
But now the Tanai becomes Chal.
The people surrounding Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair left him. I'm sorry. But what happens like this? It's much less confusing. So I'm much less confusing when I say it outside. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair came and he saw the mules. And he didn't want to eat there, so he fled. And Rabbi sent people to pursue him. So they caught up with him in his own city. When they caught up with him in his own city, so then Rabbi Pinchas said, make a security cordon around me, which they did. So Rabbi's people couldn't get near. So then Rabbi's people said to the people who made the security cordon, our master just wants to make peace with him. So then they split. All the people made the security cordon split, they left. They didn't stick around to try and prevent Rabbi's people from getting Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair to come eat. So now let's pick it up again. So it says the Gemara, Omar, he said, B'nai Didi, my own children, members of my household, corvenly come around me. Now, I don't know if he had any children or not, but it wasn't members of his household which came down.
It's nice just to say no.
Right, he went to. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a minute. Nachtas Yishosim in Shmaya, a fire came down from the sky, Vakvisi Lovi, and surrounded him. Well, at that point they had to give up. Also, Varmul Rebbe, they went and told Rebbe. Now in the Bavli it says a hill grew between the two of them. Kavatura Benai Rebbe, in the Bavli, he never fled. Rebbe and Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair were having this conversation with each other. And Rebbe kept on hacking him and refused to come. Now it's not clear if it's the same Maisa. Reb Tzadok raised the possibility it's two separate Maisim. That earlier, the first time, Rebbe tried to reason with him and he didn't come. And the mountain grew between the two of them, and then Rebbe said, he cried and said that, if this happens in Olam Hazeh, I have no shaykhs for Pinchas ben Yair. It's certainly going to happen in the world to come. That's how the Bavli ends the Maisa. However, the Yerushalmi ends the Maisa differently. It says here, they went and told Rebbe that he was surrounded by fire and he couldn't get near. Amar Rebbe said, since he didn't merit to have be satiated from him in this world, Nizba Minei Ba'amadasi will be satiated with him in the world to come. I'll see him in Shemayim. I don't have to worry about an Olam Hazeh. So Reb Tzadok says, a fascinating thing, he says, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi knew at this point, he was confident, whether it's the same mice or separate mice, let's say it's a separate mice, but he was confident at this point, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, that he would become as great, if not greater, than Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair as in fact happened. Where do you see this from? How do you know this?
You need a get.
What would you say? The most mundane answer possible. How do you know that now he will become as great, if not greater, and see Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair in Olam Haba?
Lo came at the time of the Rav. So Rav said, if Mekadesh of
because Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair is being selfish. He said no, too much. And Rebbe said, that's it. I will overcome him as a result.
So why did fire surround him?
Because he wanted it. No.
Let's just cover it.
That's like Rabbi Elazar ben Horkanus in Bava Metzia. It's a covenant of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, but it's the wrong thing. The Tzadok says that Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair should have gone to Rebbe and been mashpia on him. I found Eitzah with him. Since he wasn't mashpia on him, didn't find Eitzah on him, or didn't try and make it around it, so Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair is punished. Ultimately, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was bigger than Pinchas ben Yair as a result. But of course, in Jewish history, the annals of Judaism, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is much greater. And that's what he says to space on this mic.
Mr. Haskell is to get to know the donkeys better.
It should be.
Mr. Haskell, if somebody invites you to come, don't refuse. Right? Somebody invites you out to lunch, go. Okay? Rabbi Chagai b'shem Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachman said, Ma'aser b'chosid echos, a ma'aser certain individual, a certain righteous person, pious person, shechover bar sicham, who was digging wells and dugouts and caves, lo'over shavim, for the passerby, for their benefit. Pam achas oisa bita over, as Lina say, once his daughter was going traveling in order to get married. The Shatfas Nar, a river, swept her away. The entire world came over by him, and they wanted to console him. The low kavilei, this man would not accept their nechama. Low kavilei misnachama, he wouldn't accept their nechamas. All right, Pinchas ben Yair, Pinchas Yair came in the Gabe to him. He also wanted to be menachem him. Low kavilei menachma, he would refuse to be misnachem. He said, Deinu chasidecho. Deinu chasidecho. What was your chasidus? What was Amarleis? He said, Rabbi kach v'kach uosa. This is what I used to do. I used to dig wells for the people, for the passerby. The kach here, and this should happen. You should get punished by water. Where's the justice? Amar, so he said, Efshashim mechabed is boro b'mayim v'ukapcho b'mayim. I guess Pinchas ben Yair said this. It's possible that this person, this chassid, gave honor to his master, to his creator, to Hashem with water, and Hashem is punishing him with water. Immediately after Pinchas ben Yair said this, there came a voice in the city, Boaz Pito Shoseish, that the daughter, that so-and-so individual came back. It was Pinchas ben Yair, Mamish made a Tchias HaMesim here. How so? It wasn't real Tchias HaMesim. Some say that she found a peg. I guess she was swept away by a tidal wave or something like that. She found a peg to hold on to until the wave swept by her and she was safe. These and some say an angel came down in the form of Pinchas ben Yair and saved her from whatever predicament she found herself. They're sitting and eating on Friday night. The table fell out underneath him. The table collapsed. So they said to him, Mauke.
You have to give her a silver.
Yeah, it should be though. It should be Amar Leishto. Should be asked his wife, what's going on here? So his wife said, Tavli Choiflim Mishcheti, I borrowed herbs from my neighbor Veloy Sarti, but I didn't take mices off it. That's why the table swept. He's Tinyon. Rabbi Chaim Adaisa said he'd do it again after Shabbos, take up Chumas and Mises, and the table rose on its own. Rabbi Tav was sitting and eating, and his bread, I guess, fell out of his hand. Something fell out of his hand, something which was an inconvenience for him. So Amar Lei, so he said, okay. They said to him, what's this? Amar Lei, Kardam Sha'alti Vasisi Agabe Taros. Said that he obviously borrowed an axe which was Tomei and made taros with it, and Mida Knega Mida, not Mida Knega Mida, but was punished as a result with whatever happened here, that the table fell, that the bread, or I think maybe it's Pitura, also maybe here the table fell out from underneath him, and as a result, he realized that he did something wrong. Okay. It's late. Maybe we should stop here for tonight. You want to stop here or want to go on a little bit further? Stop? Okay. That's the end of that Gadata, so it's a convenient stopping point. Okay. Is everybody going to be here on Monday? Monday is going to have to? Okay.